Hello and welcome back to Generic Sport Podcast. I'm your host, the Goose, Josh,
And I'm John.
and today we're going to talk about Week 15 of the NFL schedule.
No, why?
Because time keeps moving forward.
Yeah, the NFL season is always the fastest time of the year.
Right? I mean, part of it is because we only get a small amount of games. We get your team playing once a week, and if you lose 3 games, like that really matters.
Right? You can lose an entire month of football and hurt your season.
Yeah. All right. So that being said, we'll start with we gotta start with Thursday night because that was one of the more important ones.
Yes.
The Raiders blew out the Chargers 63-21.
Didn't know the Raiders had it in them.
Right. I mean, some of those were on defense, but good job all around. Yeah, that is just a sign of a team that has kind of just given up with the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
But also a sign that, I think that Antonio Pierce is like somebody who can rally the troops, rally the men. The players want to play for him, especially after last week where they lost 3-0. So what a turnaround.
So right? Like you can score anywhere between 0 and 63, Raiders.
Right? In less than a week.
Right? Hopefully, for
Antonio Pierce to say, if they can beat, I think they can maybe win that job.
I think so. I don't want to say like it's a for sure thing one way or the other, but
Might disagree with some, whatever they.
well, yeah, there'll be a lot of questions there, but for the Chiefs, but like let's be honest, he could win. If he wins, I feel like that's more than like that should be more than enough to have him to get him the job. If he loses the game, stays close, I still think that's enough to like. I think he should be the leading candidate going in because you just want somebody that he's got the Rick Bisaccia effect, and with Rick, he just led men. The people wanted to play for him. He just knew how to do, like that's he just knew how to talk to the players, what people want or players want, and fans too. Like you don't need like he Mark Davis owns the Ace, and Becky Hammond learned from like one of the best in Greg Popovich, and I think that's kind of what he was hoping for with Josh McDaniels. I think he hired them basically like the same year, and I think Josh McDaniels is full of ego, and that was his problem. Because you look at what he did with Derek Carr and Jay Cutler and Brandon Marshall, Darren Waller, and even Matt Prater. Like all of those people gone for ego for reasons that he couldn't control them or whatever you want to say.
I feel like he didn't learn Belichick because I feel Belichick, though he's Arizona. I've seen him in other ones where he's actually fun, and I think there's that a lot of his assistants, Belichick, don't have that same element of fun to them. Like they have serious slave drives or stuff like that.
Well, and except for the ones that I think had some winning ways, and the only ones, and that's because one of them kind of went a few places. Was Bill O'Brien. He was successful, and Eric Mangini. He was successful in his own ways. I don't think they.
I think older were a bit better than they.
Yeah, well, and I part of it was the teams that they were just coaching. They were on like Mangini was the Jets and the Browns, but I mean, he wasn't. He didn't have like exactly a great winning record, but I don't think he was a bad coach. And same thing with and Bill O'Brien led the Texans to a lot of division championships and made it out of the first round.
Bill O'Brien, GM in there.
Yes, I think that's where a lot of people try to act like Bill and make that mistake, and that's the whole thing with Josh McDaniels. And
Bill's not right now.
not right now, and he hasn't been for a while. So what else? I mean, I think Bill got lucky on a few players, like even in the second half of his Super Bowl wins with Brady and stuff. I mean, like Gronk wasn't a first round draft pick. But like we've we're. But I was just gonna say, like, you don't need that big flashy pick of head coach.
No, you need the right candidate for you, not the best candidate.
Yeah, and Josh McDaniels just so toxic. He should never be a head coach again, and I don't even know if, like, he'll probably be an OC, probably with the Patriots again, because that's,
Well, depending on who is the quarterback getting rid of Belichick.
Yeah.
Depends on who goes in there. I don't think they're going. I don't think they're going to hire Josh Allen.
No. But Josh McDaniels could get hired as an offensive coordinator under Bill Belichick if he, especially like, could you imagine him with, like, say, the Eagles, a team that's like made, or even in with the Chargers? Because
I don't know. I personally, I feel if I'm Belichick, I'm taking any position, probably maybe in the NFC South, because he won in like the weakest division, and you want to go back to the weakest division. Him and the Saints.
yeah, I could see him.
The Saints, I think, really well.
I could see him with the Saints, and I could see him with, I don't think I could see him in Tampa Bay because of the whole Brady thing, but I could see him with the Saints, and I could see him with Atlanta if they were to get rid of their head coach. But that's also why I can't really see him with the Chargers. I could see him in the NFC because even with the Eagles, I could see it. But I mean, even though I couldn't see him with the Chargers just because it's in a really strong division, even with Sean Payton and Andy Reid, you're going to be like the third Super Bowl winning head coach that comes into the division. So
If you want to go there, I mean, he might like Herbert, and maybe that's enough for him. Maybe going with a good, solid quarterback is all he needs to go somewhere. So he can build elsewhere. But he just needs to build defense. He can build defense really good. Just might need to go to a solid offense. I just feel the NFC South like perfect for him.
I think anywhere really in the NFC would be fine for him, even if it was in the Bears, actually.
Right? I don't know if Eberflus going on or not, but if Bill Belichick available, they might do that.
Yeah. But we've gotten way off topic because the topic was about Josh McDaniel, about how bad of a coach he was. And speaking of bad coaches, because we've already talked about the Chargers and, having a new head coach. Yeah, they fired Brandon Staley, which as a Chargers fan, you must be excited for. I'm a little disappointed because we play you again and, we could have used, I mean, I still think the Broncos could get a victory, but it would have been, Brandon Staley, God, he was bad. Like, he did, he had some of those Josh McDaniels ego and ineptitude stuff when you really look at him, because he didn't want to, we say Kyle Shanahan has failed at, like, the Super Bowl level, like, twice. That would have been fine if he got to that level, but his ineptitude and his ego just couldn't get him to admit, man, I really messed up that Jacksonville game and just couldn't get over and past that. Like, he was, like, holding on to, like, something.
That was a ghost that haunted him the entire season. I think also hiring Kellen Moore, who's clearly the problem in Dallas.
Yeah, he could not shake that monkey off his back.
Yeah,
it was a jaguar, but he couldn't shake it.
Yeah, no, it's on. I'm sure he'll go back to being a defense coordinator with someone.
Well, he will. I know our friend Ethan would love probably him back with the Rams as a defensive coordinator, because
That's how well the Rams do it.
Well, yeah, because he's not a fan of Raheem. What's his last name?
Moore?
Yeah, Raheem Moore.
I wonder if Moore.
They are, and I think Raheem Moore played for the Broncos.
Yeah, Moore.
Can you check Raheem Moore really quick?
Yeah, he played for the Broncos.
Yeah, what number was it?
26.
Yeah, he was the one that messed up, I think, back in 2012 or so, that led to the Ravens getting and winning the Super Bowl. Pretty sure that was him. That's why I try and block him out from my memory.
Yeah, he last played for like Arlen. He played the Arlen Renegade.
Right? Right? Did he play in 2012 for the Broncos? Yeah. Okay. I'm pretty.
The one that you did, yeah.
Yeah. He's the one that, like, really messed up our at the end there. I mean, not to say that we should not have been tied and we could have won that game, but
Even on his, even like a paragraph theory on it.
about how bad he messed up or something.
2013 NFL playoffs. Moore lost favor with Broncos management, and fans would gap during the Broncos game against Ravens.
Yep. Yeah, he's definitely got to be on the most hated Broncos list.
Weirdest tangent we taken.
Right? Okay, so moving on. Last thing with the Broncos for this part.
As we're still on the Ravens Charger game.
I just have to make this point because you heard this, that somewhere that they were saying like the Raiders didn't want to score 70 because the Broncos had that game and against the Dolphins, and I'm like no, I don't care if the Broncos are your division rival. You are playing a division rival. You're your former in-state division rival. the two former, like like it was Northern California versus Southern California, or LA versus San Diego for a time, Oakland versus San Diego, whatever. The in-state rivalry for basically 50 years. You're telling me that you were like, oh no, we'll let Miami have that record. The Broncos can stay, at the seven, they had a 70 burger put up on them. No, you put up your own 70 burger on your own division rival. You didn't. It's not that you didn't want to. You couldn't. You couldn't get that last touchdown. That's it. You can't tell me otherwise.
You know what? They put up 63, and good on them.
But you could have had. You probably, with how much time was left, you could have had the record, or at least tied with the 70 to say it was still as bad of. You did that. You did that to your own rival. Not that some other team did it to your rival. You did it to your rival. That
they won by a whole hell of a lot. Nothing, and you know what? The second most amount of points scored by a season, and good on. They could have scored. If they could have scored more, they should.
Right. So that being said, I mean, I guess 42. Nobody had a 42 to nothing loss. So.
And I'm rooting for both, and I hope both these teams win that.
Right.
Go beat the Chiefs. I'm asking for a lot from the Chargers, but maybe Brandon Staley's higher probably they will do well.
Right. Or it's going to be
Or the Bills are going to try to match rate.
Right. Or Max. Is it Max Duggan?
They waited.
Oh, they did. I didn't realize that. So it. Oh, okay. So it could be Will Greer. Okay. All right. So with that being said, man, the Bengals and the Vikings, that was one of the best games of the weekend. Bengals came back from, I think, what was it, 24-7? I think, yeah, because they were like down 17 points, and then they came back, tied up the game, and then won it in overtime. So with T. Higgins probably at least second or third most amazing touchdown of the year, because Cortland Sutton against the I think was the one against the Buffalo Bills, where he like that like 2% chance of making it in, or was it 3?
It was very low.
It was very low. That's the catch of the year. But this was one of the top. This was like at least number 2, if not Cortland Sutton's other one. I think he had against, like, was it Texans or the Vikings?
Cortland has some of them.
Cortland has like 2, at least in my opinion. Cortland, I don't think you can take number 1 away from Cortland for the year. Like, that one was so improbable. Like, that was the most amazing catch.
I mean,
but
3 more weeks, and you never know what can happen. It's like I will talk about some games this week.
Yeah.
But you never know. But he's definitely holding it on for now.
But T. Higgins had a top 5 catch. I'd say arguably for me number 3, maybe number 2. I'd have to go back and see the other one from Cortland. But he caught the ball, not going out of bounds, at the 1-yard line, took it and just held it out over the goalpost to score a touchdown, and that was great. It was like it was perfect. I'm just like, so T. Higgins hasn't done much this year, but now he made that catch, and he's going to probably get some bank this offseason, even more so, unless he wants to sign a team-friendly deal for the Bengals. I'm sure they'd love that, but I don't know. I still think the Bengals, they've got their core. Maybe they haven't played the greatest defense all year, but the Broncos stay the same. But if the Bengals hang on to win, they're dangerous, and if they make the playoffs, they can travel. They can travel. They've did it before. I mean, it's not Joe Burrow, but Jake Browning. If I'm not gonna say he's Joe Burrow, but if he's got the pieces around him and they can just manage, they can squeak out 3-point wins in the playoffs. It's a win. That's all you need.
I'm not going to say I know the conversation now. Like, is Joe Burrow a quarterback? Jake Brown might be really good too.
I think people are being facetious about the Joe Burrow question, but
Joe Burrow is still like a great quarterback. Jake Browning, if this hell will be a quarterback, some other.
He could be.
It just depends on how well he does. But it would also help Bengals if, as long as Joe Burrow is healthy, they're getting it. But not like last season, Browning playing, but still have they have someone that they can rely on. So I hope Joe's healthy.
Joe should be, and hopefully no preseason training camp. So
the Bengals are good right now. I agree. Vikings.
They won at home, but still, the Cincinnati can travel. They've shown it before. So, and Zach Taylor.
They're going to travel.
I think you're right. What were you going to say about the Vikings?
Quarterback.
I don't know. I mean, that's the problem. Kirk got hurt. Is it too late to sign Matt Ryan? No, like seriously. Like I still think he'd have something in him to get it done, especially if Carson.
I feel like
right.
But yeah, there are a few other options. Quarterback for his own team.
That would be something. But Zach Taylor, like right now, if they make the playoffs, like he's in the coach of the year. Like there's so many great coaches right now, and he's still like underrated. Is it because he just has a generic name and a generic looking face? Like he's nothing. Like you could look at other head coaches and just, is he a head coach? Like you could just pass him by on the street. Like I'm almost certain, like people, like if you're not a Cincinnati Bengals fan in Cincinnati, like even if you are a Bengals fan, you might pass him by in the supermarket and not even question yourself. That's how generic he looks.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, Mike does, like, I don't know, like, the rival coach, like, Kevin Fancy doing as good of a job, too. Like, but, they're both winning with backup quarterback. I can't believe it's like 3 teams. The wild card spot right now are, like, teams winning with backup quarterback.
Yeah, backup quarterback is one of the most important positions because you never know who's going to go down. But yeah, with what I said about backup quarterbacks and stuff, you gotta have one. And I feel like
you have to have a good one.
You gotta have a good one. Yes, of course. Like there's a difference between like I think that like Sam Darnold is a capable backup quarterback. Somebody like Ryan Fitzpatrick, capable backup quarterback. Some of these starters that were like mid-range, like Ryan Tannehill is probably gonna finish off his career if he wants as a backup quarterback in the next couple of years if he wants to keep playing. And there's nothing wrong with it because you just get older and you just if you want to keep playing, that's what you do. Ryan could retire. But my point was going to be Zach Taylor definitely in the conversation for coach of the year, just because if he makes the playoffs after starting, it's just like the Sean Payton thing. They started like what 1-4, something like that, because I know like they started like they went 1-2. They won the Rams on Monday Night Football. I think that was like 1-2. I think they lost the next one 1-3. I think they were at least 1-3 or 1-4. And now they're 8-6. Mm-hmm. So they're winning by the injuries and the most major injury of your franchise quarterback. So I would definitely say he's in the conversation for coach of the year.
Yeah, winning in spite of injuries is like key thing. Like as I've mentioned before, on like some of the Dolphins losses, we lost because like we had key players injured. But when you can win, even though you in spite of those key injuries, that's when you have like depth and good coaching, and you're not and you can take advantage of the situation even with injuries.
Yeah. I mean, injuries are obviously part of the game, but how you work around them is important as a head coach, or any coach, or not even this the head coach. So, anything else we want to add to this conversation about the Vikings and the Bengals? I don't know. I was just gonna say, it just came to my mind. I was gonna say I'm not sure if the Vikings are a playoff team. I know they're 3 weeks left.
If they can find a quarterback that can like play and win with the team, because I mean you have one of the best receivers in the league, and you have a solid defense. You just need to figure out someone who can throw and throw with like not make mistakes. They need a game manager. Like they would take a game manager. Like
I know that's the whole conversation about game managers.
I know they said like game managers like is a bad word. No, a game manager can win with this Viking team. Like there are worse than game managers.
I mean, Nick Foles was like a game manager, and in a sense, he managed to win those games. So you want a Nick Foles, yeah? Is he available?
Right.
But my point being, I was gonna say, an important point is they have 2 really good wide receivers, or great wide receivers. Because Jordan Addison's actually making a name for himself. T.J. Hawkinson is showing he's a great tight end, especially at least for the Vikings. So they've got weapons around them. They do need that quarterback. So my question is, maybe do you try what was his name? Jaron Hall.
I'd give Jaron Hall another shot, and Nick Foles is available.
So Nick Foles or maybe Matt Ryan, somebody that can do that. I know I'm throwing a lot behind Matt Ryan, but former MVP, good, solid quarterback who made the playoffs like almost all the time. Like if he had a better team around, he made the Super Bowl. So if he had a better team around him, he would have won it. Better coaching. I don't know, but I would not if you can get Matt Ryan out of the
booth.
Yeah, I think the booth, but it's out of the booth, and it might be worth it. So but right now, even though the Rams and Saints are playing each other, I feel like I could see the Rams, the Saints, and the Buccaneers, and maybe the Seahawks, like all being better because the quarterback thing. But you've got Jordan Addison, and Justin Jefferson needs to come back a little healthier. He's been off with injury a little while, so I think that's really affected him. So we'll see if he plays. This is going to be his second full game that he comes back playing. So
yeah, he has to get the rust off.
He really does. That injury against the Raiders, like that chest, that just that was the time he needed to be. That would have been the game he shook off the rust. He didn't get the full ability to do that, so it's kind of a bit of a setback. So we'll see if he can come alive this week. I don't know who did they play?
Vikings?
Yeah.
The Lions.
Oh boy. So another reason why I don't
don't know if they're going to make playoffs there.
Well, they played the Lions twice, so that is definitely a problem.
Yeah. So Green Bay still got a chance, but if I had to say, it's probably between. It's like I can't believe there's actually a chance for a second NFC South team. I think it could be the Saints or the Buccaneers, whichever one doesn't win the division. The Rams, then the Seahawks, and then maybe the Packers. One of those four teams more likely than the Vikings in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. You want one? I don't know if the Vikings, if they figure out this quarterback situation,
that's another story. Yeah,
right. If they can figure that out, they might have a chance against the Lions, and I forget. I think they play one of the other divisional opponents.
I think they play the Packers.
Yeah, the Packers. So those are both tough teams. Those are both tough teams. So I think going to be a very hard struggle for the Vikings.
Absolutely. Now, as I asked this before, do we have anything else to say about this game? Or at least these teams?
I think I'm good for now.
All right, so we'll move on. All right, next up, Steelers Colts. Gardner Minshew.
Mitchell versus Mitchell Trubisky, the matchup of the century.
No, I was gonna say Gardner Minshew looked great, like solid. I'm surprised where they're at. I mean, but I guess it really shouldn't be that surprising because Gardner Minshew, I think, is a starting caliber quarterback, and I think that the league and teams and fans get too hyped up on if you don't win in a few certain amount of years, you're just not a franchise quarterback, and Gardner Minshew has all of the stats to show that, I remember seeing some stats where he's got like the passing yards and the touchdowns, but he just didn't get the wins. And it's stupid because wins shouldn't be wins are a team thing. It's not a quarterback thing because,
Right. I mean, we said back in the predictions podcast that we think the Colts would go far if Gardner Minshew was with them. And so we always believed in it. And
not that Anthony Richardson was
nothing
bad,
against,
but
nothing
he
against.
was a rookie and he needed some time. I think they could have Patrick Mahomes sat him for the year and let him learn. I actually feel like, with the exception of C.J. Stroud, I think it would have helped Bryce Young too.
Mm-hmm. Andy Dalton might have gotten more wins for the Panthers than Bryce Young, but number one pick has to be thrown to the wolves.
And I don't like that mentality when you heck, you could even say that it helped Brock Purdy too. I mean, very rarely are you going to have say a Dak Prescott or certain quarterbacks, it doesn't work for every quarterback to just get, thrown in and work.
They need to get they need to get adjusted to the speed of the game. I get that, but they need to get adjusted to learning the playbook and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you can watch and see how the speed of the game is being played. You can get in there maybe at the end of one of the quarters or something, if they really need practice, especially if you're out of the competition. But yeah, I think it's just this is why we got to do another podcast where we talk about all our opinions instead of doing it here. But that being said, no, there's Gardner Minshew is a starting quarterback in this league, and I think they need to. I think he'll have a job somewhere next year. I don't know if it's going to be the Colts, and because I know they got Anthony Richardson, but
it might depend on how.
If he wins the Super Bowl, he's their quarterback.
Right? It definitely depends, how far he goes, depending on how far they keep him.
Right?
Because him and Steichen are doing fantastic.
Right? I mean, if the list of Colts Super Bowl winning quarterbacks are, I think it was Johnny Unitas, Peyton Manning, and Gardner Minshew, then it'd be hard to change that. But that being said, they're just playing great on defense. They're playing great. There's no the run game, somewhat there, especially if Jonathan Taylor is healthy for the postseason, and Zach Moss, Pittman Jr. They're just.
To be fair, Moss wasn't really that helpful this game, but
no, but I just mean in general, if you've got a run game, I know that there was a rookie running back this week.
Trey Sermon and Tyler Goodson were the two that did exceptional.
I think Goodson was the rookie I was thinking of. Sermon, I think he's been around, but
he was a rookie last year.
Okay,
but the year before, he's relatively new.
Yeah, but I just remember his name being more than just a rookie this year. But my point being is their defense is playing good. They don't I could see them they have a chance at winning the division, but they're fifth. They're the fifth seed right now. If they were they probably play a division opponent.
Sixth seed, yeah.
Oh, they're the sixth seed. Oh yeah.
Cleveland.
Yeah. So. okay, so I don't know. Like the Colts, if the Colts had to play, say, the Chiefs, they got a shot. They beat them last year with a much worse team. So, and that defense can play. So I don't think it's an easy give me game to the Chiefs if it's this Colts team. So the wild card, I don't feel like the division. Most of the division leaders are truly infallible. Is that the word?
Infallible.
Infallible. Yes. I knew the word. I just didn't know how to pronounce it correctly. So, but at least right now in the AFC, like because it's just so close. It's so.
I would say I wouldn't want to face the Ravens or the Dolphins at home.
Yes. Those were going to be like true two exceptions right now.
Except with the exception of unless the Ravens are playing any of their rivals, which that kind of throws that out the water, and because they're basically always tough against each other, no matter where it is, and that's basically the only caveat
right. And who knows how we still got 3 more weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The Browns are doing good. Like they could definitely hold on to number 5 seed, or
move up.
Yeah, they could actually win the division if
the Ravens
Baltimore...
the Ravens have probably has like I think the second hardest schedule left with the Dolphins and the 49ers and the Steelers.
Oh, they play the Steelers, so yeah.
So
who has the hardest then?
Miami Dolphins.
Oh yeah, because you got the Cowboys.
We have the Cowboys, the Ravens, and the Bills.
Okay, yeah, you do have the hardest right now. I mean, kind of an even slate.
It depends on what the Bills and Steelers win record is. Right now, we have the hardest. But if they're both 8-7,
no, they have to play the 49ers, right? They have
we play the Ravens, who are at the exact same win record as the 49ers.
They have who else do they have?
The Dolphins.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, you got the Ravens.
We have the Ravens. If we're not at the Ravens win record.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we both have so yeah. Technically, statistically,
Yeah, you have one worse one. They have one more win, like 2 11-team wins, right? 11-win teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and then a 7. Oh wait, no, they haven't.
No, they have a 10. They have a 10-win team and 11. They have an 11-win team, a 10-win team, and then a 7-win team. We have a 10-win team, an 11-win team, and 8-win team.
Right. Because yeah. Okay, now I got you. I merged their schedules together. We really went off course here. So yeah, Colts good. Colts 30-13 against the Steelers. I think they're gonna need some kind of miracle. I just don't think their defense is fine, but their offense just still isn't clicking.
Without Kenny Pickett, it stinks.
Which is really shocking to say because Kenny Pickett hasn't really played great, but they don't have any cohesion, I feel, with the Steelers. Like they've won some games because they're division rivals and they've got division wins and
well, let's face it, they need a backup quarterback and they need an offensive coordinator. Like even with Matt Canada gone, they still need someone good, but they were doing all right with Kenny Pickett and without Matt Canada. So
yeah,
I mean, they got 400 yards of offense in that first game, and I think Kenny Pickett was starting to play to his potential. Yeah, but I think if they can get Kenny Pickett back, they still have a shot. But I know they're like kind of on the outside looking in at 7 wins right now.
Well, they play the Bengals, so that's a division game, so it could go either way. But the Bengals feel a little hot right now. Even if it's gonna be smash mouth football, but they play on Saturday, and I know Kenny Pickett. I don't think he's gonna be. I'm pretty. Yeah, actually, I know that he's not coming back because they said Mason Rudolph's gonna be starting that game.
They said Mason Rudolph with a chance of Kenny Pickett.
Oh, okay. Anything else from this? Because
not really. Oh yeah, Pittsburgh does have like 2 of their divisional rivals left in Seattle, so who knows?
Oh yeah.
But it's at Seattle, so if they don't have Kenny Pickett, that's going to be trouble.
Yeah, and they play at Pittsburgh this week, right?
Yeah, so it's not an easy path forward for the Steelers.
No. So on to what I was hoping would have been a better game. The Lions and the Broncos. I just got to give it all. Like Jared Goff looked good, 5 touchdowns. They like after that first quarter, they like ran all over us. Actually, first half, like it wasn't even bad in the first half, but they just they clobbered us. I know, like we'll talk more about like how momentum and things work in a game and how they like I don't know why there was a touchdown possession I think in the first half that we couldn't score on. Second down that I thought we got a touchdown, and then third down that one I wasn't quite sure about, but I don't understand why we didn't challenge one of those for a touchdown. When I think the Javonte Williams one was a touchdown, but I don't know why it didn't get challenged. I don't know if that's why Sean Payton was yelling at Russ to slow down, that he wanted the moment to look at that so he could see if it was either of them was worth challenging, so that might have been why Sean Payton was yelling at Russ. But then they called the offsides penalty on offense, and I swear that they are just making up for because that's the thing. The Kadarius Toney call last week was the right call. This week, I think it was pretty silly because it wasn't that he was offsides. There was a guard that had his head on the line of scrimmage. That's not offsides. That's like you're it's not even like lined up offsides. Like no, like it was like on the line. Like players are allowed to be on the line from my understanding. But Kadarius Toney was like over the line, and I know they called it in another game too. I think was it your game?
Yes, it was our game. It was our game this week that we got an offensive offside as well.
Right, and I think they're just calling it just to try and say, oh yeah, we call it a lot more often. I don't think that.
I think it's been called more often this season,
right, and
than any other season.
Emphasize a little bit more. That's why I think they got a couple of calls like they were like, oh no, I guess we should call it. Yeah, so it's what they. I forgot what. It's a point of emphasis is what the referee. I forget if it was like Carl Jeffers or whoever was on the NBC. I think whoever was on the Fox broadcaster, whoever was. Some of the referees that they have on the crew, I think on Fox or something, said that during the Buffalo Bills Chiefs game last week. I forget who, but one of the refs that's up there, maybe it was Dean Blandino. I forget, but they said like it's just a point of emphasis. So now I feel like there will be a couple other teams that get it called just to milk it. And the worst thing is, it was like I said, it was a penalty on Kadarius Toney. It was bad, but
yeah.
Well, when the current faces of the league, the Chiefs complain about it. I guess try and show like, oh, see, it's called. That being said, that's where the point of momentum. Like, I'm not as upset about that in general. I'm more upset that we didn't challenge it, the earlier ones, because I think there was a touchdown there. And not to say like 24-42 is any better. I mean, it's a little bit better, but it's a whole momentum swing. Like you get that touchdown, maybe you empower that defense. Like, oh yeah, we're not gonna let up a score here. We're gonna get the ball or something. Like that's the momentum, the energy. One side of the ball can do for the other. Like all those turnovers. That was one thing that Denver was missing was turnovers. You get all those turnovers, like you invigorate the offense and want to go score. So, and we are a team that needs those turnovers. It's just how our offense, the game. It's how our team works right now. The offense needs the shorter field sometimes, but those takeovers are just those are huge. Like
takeaways.
What did I say? Takeovers?
Yes.
Okay.
Turnovers, takeaways, not both of them. Okay.
But NXT. I mean, takeaways, turnovers. It's funny. It works. Takeover. It's like we could just merge that as a whole pack. But turnovers, takeaways, they are important to our defense, and we didn't get any in this game. So, or at least I don't think we did. I don't remember any. So if it was one. But they definitely got the ball away from us. At least once. I think Russ fumbled it on. Yeah, he did fumble it on a drive that we were almost about 4-2. So it was just a bad game. We're not out of the playoffs hunt yet. So that was the hardest game on our schedule left. I know some of the other teams that are fighting for a spot. They have a lot harder games coming up. So we'll see what happens. It's a new week, a new day. Yes, it is.
But to talk about the Lions
Yes.
a bit, once again, apparently I don't get the missing the O-line is missing one key piece, so the defense sucks because of this. This is a type of deal that the Lions in San Francisco had this year, because Frank Ragnow, the center, came back because I didn't realize he was missing, and that's why the Lions defense sucks, which doesn't make sense because he's the offensive lineman, just like Trent Williams. But when the offensive line sucks, the rest of the team sucks.
Didn't that happen to you in the Titans game?
Right? Well, there was a lot of stuff with the Titans game. There was a lot of issues in the Titans game. There was not one thing, and I've already mentioned that, but still.
Oh, I know. I'm just thinking it's like you're, you were up by 14 and the defense didn't do anything, and yeah, your center went out. So it's like it
was because the center went out, but in the middle of the game is something different than not having them starting for the game. But
right, I'm just talking about the weird coincidence of lineman goes out, defense doesn't play well. What's up with that?
Well, what it is that this is the thing is that the offense, if the offense doesn't get going, the defense has to work twice as hard and tires out twice as quickly.
I know that, but it's just it's just so odd, like to see how just it's one player on the offensive line, how it can affect it so much. And I'm not, Trent Williams is great, but it's astounding. And honestly, when we talk about this and all the other shows that we watch, they talk about how great Trent Williams is, and they were saying there should be a quarterback award for the best quarterback, and the MVP should be different. Can we just get an offensive lineman award or something? The
MVP should go to the offensive line most of the time because most we already saw a Super Bowl where with the offensive line out, they can't do shit with the Bucs and the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes can't win with a bad offensive line,
right? Especially against a great defense, defensive line front seven. Actually, that kind of inspired me more than just an offensive, best offensive lineman. Maybe just the best crew, when you're thinking about the Oscars or something like that. They have best picture, or it's the director, it's why not just a it's the best O line, the whole.
Yeah, it should just be a best O line or a best O line award, honestly, because. You can't win without a good O-line. It's very difficult. Your quarterback and the rest of the team has to make up for it. And
yeah, but we've wandered off the path again.
Well, yes, I was trying. Because of Frank Ragnow's return, the entire Lions returned to form, and now we're back to this playoff championship looking Lions team.
Still got to see a little bit more from the defense, but their offense always I need to see it the next couple weeks, especially against division opponents the Vikings. I know we talked about the Vikings earlier, but they still got two great wide receivers. The Lions just need to show that defense is able to stick with them, because if they can cover and handle their business with Addison and Jefferson, they'll be pretty solid in the playoffs. It's the right time to get hot.
As long as they can. It depends who's starting at quarterback for the Vikings, but if it's Mullins, I think the Lions are going to have a field day here.
Well, I don't know. It depends on
as long as their offensive line is healthy.
We'll see. Like I said, it's more for me. It's about I have no worries about the Lions offense. They're clicking on all cylinders. They've got they've got everything going for them. I think Jamison Williams, right? Is it Jamison Williams?
Yeah.
Okay. I know it's only his second year, but I know if he could just click it up a little bit more too, that would be great off Amon Raw, and then it helps Laporta get going. Like everybody's clicking, the running back duo. That's one of the best, if not the best, in the league, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah, one of the best running back duos. Yeah, when I can think of another one I'll get back to you.
Right, that's been as healthy as I know
that's healthy.
A couple, but like they feel like they work as like the best tandem, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, what was it? I mean, if we can get Mostert and Achane together,
yeah,
we're one of the other best. But yeah, I'm going to give it to them because they've been doing it more. They've been doing it through more games than we have. So
yeah, but the Lions, they actually got a chance at the 2 seed. I'm all here for like a Lions 49ers championship game, if that NFC championship game, if we get that.
Well, the Lions, I mean, they have a decent chance at a 2 seed. The 49ers magically lose out, they have a chance at the 1 seed, but I don't see that happening to the 49ers unless they get hurt.
And you're saying like lose out, like there's a chance they could lose this weekend, but lose out, ooh, that would be.
Yeah, the Lions have to win out, and I think the 49ers have an easy schedule left, because I think they have like the Commanders and someone else in their division left, besides the Ravens. So
which team? The Lions or
the 49ers?
I think they play the Rams. I think we talked about this at some point, but like Ravens, Commanders, Rams.
Yeah. So yeah,
I guess they have played Arizona twice. Yeah. I know they played.
Yeah, I think they just beat them the second time. So
I know they played Seattle twice because they were really close together.
Oh, so so the Rams come to the 49ers home the last week. Yeah, like the 49ers are losing this one. Yeah, they're totally losing to the Commanders. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so unless the 49ers get hurt, the only I don't see them really losing all 3 of these games.
If they've got it locked up, if they beat the Ravens and then beat the Commanders, they probably play a half of football against the Rams. It might help the Rams get into the playoffs, but you don't want to play the full. You don't want to play a full game with all your starters. You just risk any injury. So it's like, I know 2 weeks off, if you have the bye, might not be great, but you also don't want to risk injury, especially Brock, Purdy, or Trent Williams. So
yeah, any of their big offensive or defensive weapons.
Yeah, and it's like. We'll talk more about the 49ers later, but yeah, I'll save what Christian McCaffrey said later.
Yeah, we'll just let's get back. Yeah, but the Lions just have the Vikings twice, and the Packers once?
No.
It's not. It's the
they play the Cowboys.
Yes, that was the Saturday night football. So the Vikings and the Cowboys. Well, that's probably depending on how the Cowboys and Eagles go, that will probably be the matchup for the 2 seed.
So what team has? So they have the Lions twice, the Vikings?
Yeah.
Okay, so Green Bay has
the Bears.
Okay.
And I forget who else they have.
Yeah, I forget who Green Bay had. I thought they had the Lions one, not Lions one before. I thought they had the Vikings or something.
Yeah, they have the Vikings next week 17.
Okay.
It was the Vikings who play their divisional rivals, and
yeah.
I was thinking of the Vikings schedule, not
the Vikings play Lions, Packers, Lions.
But yeah, well, I think the Lions are, as long as the Lions stay healthy, it'll be it'll be fun for them the rest of the season.
Right? Like they lost to the Bears the week before. I think that was a good wake up call. I think the wake up call was losing to the Bears and the Saints being able to come back from 21 down. I think those were some good wake up calls, because it could have. That's why I was getting a little overconfident about the Broncos. I was like, well, look at the Lions.
Well, I think Frank Ragnow was out for those weeks or something, which shows how important he was.
But yeah, but it also just shows, sometimes you just need that wake up call too.
Well, the good teams bounce back after losing, or the great teams.
Yeah. Like I think, like I said, I think the Saints one was like, oh yeah, no, you know what, we got away with it. We're not gonna worry about it. And then the Bears one was like, oh no, we couldn't get away with those things that we were doing in the Saints game. So that was that wake up call. So good for them. Move on. We're not gonna go talk about some of these other games. This one in particular, the Panthers and the Vikings. Panthers won.
Good on
7-9.
them. It was a
Three field goals. Good
There's a
job for the Panthers to win their second game of the season. Their interim head coach won his first game. Good job defense. Arthur Smith. I don't know how you're gonna have a job after this season. Like, there's way too much fucking talent on. I try not to swear, but like, there's way too much fucking talent on the Atlanta Falcons to be where they're at and to have only scored 7 points.
right. That I don't know. At least the good on the Panthers defense, and the Panthers might get a second win if Joe Barry's defense can't stop the Panthers of all people, since that's who the Packers play next.
So you're telling me I should play Chuba Hubbard in our fantasy matchup this coming week?
Well, it depends on what Joe Barry defense shows up.
Can the Joe Barry defense show up to stop a run? Anyways,
I don't know if the Onion is making fun of the Packers defensive coordinator, then you know it's bad.
so I think I might have to play Chuba Hubbard. Anyways, he's not a bad running back, so he gets some scores and some yards and what he needs. But
Let us move on.
yeah, I was gonna say, but the Falcons. Yikes! Like, the only thing I really want to say about the Falcons are, I'm not going to be surprised if they get a new head coach. Like, I think Eric Bieniemy could be a great fit down there with all that talent, or another offensive-minded, head coach that brings in a good defensive coordinator. Because I don't, like, you just need a good DC. Like I don't think a defensive coordinator would be a good fit down in Atlanta, just with the way the team's built right now. Like, he didn't do a bad. Whoever built the team, be it Arthur Smith or the GM, I forget who the GM is right now, but they built a great team. It's just not Arthur Smith's just not being able to like produce. So I see them drafting one of those really good quarterbacks coming up in the draft and moving on with new head coach.
Right.
It sucks for Arthur Smith, but just that team's way too talented to be where they're at.
Right. Well, the Falcons deserve better. I mean, they still have a shot because we don't know what's going to happen with the NFC South, but
right. I mean, I will say, I forget, because I think you had the Falcons on our prediction higher than I did. I think you had them in a playoff spot.
I did.
Yeah, I had them at 6-11, and not too far off.
And it depends on which week. It depends. It's really been up and down depending on which week. Did I look right or do I look stupid with the Falcons prediction? And that's all on Arthur Smith's.
Funny enough, I said that they'd have a win against I had the Panthers would a win against the Falcons.
I said
on my list with the. I mean, I think they split 1-1, but
the funniest thing was earlier in the week was they talk about, like, what was it, these upset alert, I forget it was upset alerts or whatever, and they pick all these teams, and it's like, and I just randomly said, you know what, like, no one really knows anything. The Panthers can beat the Falcons here. That's what I said, and lo and behold, I was right on that random pick I did.
Because that offense just isn't consistent. And that's why I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I'll be astounded if they win their last 3 and somehow make it in because they win the division, but
they just need to be they just need to be consistent enough throughout. They just need to have the right amount of consistency out of these consistent teams.
I don't believe in that they have the capability of being that consistent.
I don't know either.
So with that, we'll let's jump over to the Saints and the Giants. Saints win. Well, I forget if I mentioned the score, but 9-7 was the score in the Panthers game. 9-7. Saints won 24-6.
Saints defense looking real.
Yeah, again, offense feels like it's clicking enough. Maybe they've got everything that they need, because that's, if they can pull off a few more. Like, I actually think that there's a chance that the Saints and the Bucks can make a wild card spot, or one wins the division and one gets a wild card spot. So
the NFC's wild card position is crazy enough that if it magically could weirdly go the 3 NFC South teams to make playoffs, but as we highly doubt the Falcons at this point, but
right. I mean, if they had won the Panthers, then I would be saying that, but they lost 9-7.
It does not. It does not mathematically. It's still a possibility of 3 NFC South teams.
It is. That's crazy, scary, terrifying, and not in the good. Like, it's kind of like a sad, depressive. Like, really?
No, the depressing shocking part. The shocking part would be is if the 3 NFC South teams win playoff games.
What does that? I don't even know what that says for the NFC. I mean, that would be like a win against that would
The
be a win
Lions,
against
Cowboys,
the
Eagles, Lions, Cowboys, and Eagles all lose to NFC South teams.
Oh my God. Then one plays the 49ers, and then one of them plays themselves, and guaranteed there's a second win for the NFC South. No, do not jinx us and befell the NFL championship game.
Yes, the 49ers versus the Buccaneers coming at you.
I was going to say the 49ers versus the Falcons would be, they find their consistency that I said they don't have, and they make it to the championship game. That would be the epitome, the wild in wild card. And you know what? I'm selling it. I'm buying it. I want it now. Because we could say listen to this podcast. We predicted it here and now.
Yep, the NFC South taking over the NFC. Yep, that's happening.
All right. So moving on to with the Saints and the Giants. I guess there was a hit on Tommy DeVito they didn't like. That's really all I heard. I'm guessing then. I mean, they didn't really play all that great. It's the Giants. Because they got 2 field goals. Derek Carr played good, 23 for 28, 3 touchdowns. Did he? I don't think he had the perfect passer rating because I think he needed
No, he didn't do that. He only what was it? 134.8. He was close. Needed more yards.
Yeah,
and more
I think
completions.
One more catch or something. I don't know what his pass percentage was, but I don't know what 23 out of 28 is percentage wise. I don't think that's an 80.
No, I don't think it was high enough.
But they're just getting the ball out, and the defense is playing good. There were a ton of sacks in that game. 7 sacks. Oh,
we'll see what happens with the Giants going forward. That ended the Giants' streak, but I think Tommy DeVito can still do well going forward, even if they play the Eagles twice.
Yeah, it's a rivalry game. It's a division game. Not giving anything to the Eagles, especially with how they feel. They seem a bit wounded right now. So we'll talk more about them later. Also, it's actually 82% of their. He actually had 82% of his passes complete. 23 out of 28 is 82.
I can't do percentages off the top of my head.
No, me neither. So
unless it's out of 10.
Right. I mean, football is a game of math. There's so much math. We talked about this before.
Let us not get back into math.
I remember a time where we would watch stuff about there. I was told that there would be no math, but math is part of the game. But yeah, nothing too high on the Saints. They got the ball around, and we'll see what they do. The final 3 weeks. Oh man, the Bears and the Browns. Great comeback by Joe Flacco. He threw 2 interceptions or 3 interceptions. I forget. Take a quick look. 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown. He did not play great, but they came back. They won. They were down 17-7, and the Browns defense played. They came back. That's all you need to do in a game is you just need to come back and win. And shockingly enough, it was a good. It felt like there was a lot of defense, not a great offense towards the Bears at the end. I think they were just trying to hold They were trying to hope the defense was going to hold, and I don't think they felt like they needed to score anymore. I feel like they weren't being as aggressive on offense. That's at least how the replays and how I saw the end of the game, because I was like, oh wow. And then the actual end of the game, Justin Fields, he can definitely throw the ball. Now, was it Darnell Mooney?
Yeah.
That ball bounced his way into his arms. He had that caught for a second and then kicked it, bobbled it, and kicked it for an interception.
And that kind of feels how the Bear season has gone.
Bear season? That's the Bears' whole last, since they won the Super Bowl almost 40 years ago.
This was totally not a game for running backs, as the highest running back had 36 yards.
Yikes.
The highest one in Cleveland only had 20.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's where one of those ones where you say maybe we should see if Justin Fields can try and run the ball more, try and get him going. A little bit like Josh Allen, a little bit like Lamar.
Justin Fields was the second highest running back for the runner for the Bears.
Well, but I remember there's times where Justin Fields could get 50, 60, maybe even 100 yards running. But I don't know. It's I don't want to I'm still flabbergasted about how that game ended. ended. That's really the big thing. But not to get too into it.
We're gonna get too into it anyways.
Right? I don't know if Justin Fields is the answer. I don't know one way or another. Because of the Carolina trade, they have the #1 pick next year. I don't think they're not going to get it unless things mess up. But
hey, they've played Joe Barry's defense. They might they might be able to match the other teams at 3 wins.
Carolina might be able to get a 3rd win, but will the other teams get a win? But let's just say they get the #1 pick. Even if they don't get the #1 pick, they get number 2 or something. They get like a Bo Nix or Michael, Penix Jr. Who like are you? What are like? I don't know. What are we doing? Like, are you gonna get Marvin Harrison Jr. to really? It's such a
well. Justin Fields has the potential to be a starting quarterback in this league. I don't think anyone's not saying that. It's really like how you say, like it's the same thing with Gardner Minshew. Is Justin Fields the problem, or is the rest of the team the problem?
You're right, and this brings me back. You reminded me of what I've said all year before the trade deadline that they should have done, and I could see it on the offseason. If they keep Arthur Smith, so be it. I think that's their doom. But I think Justin Fields in Atlanta would be the perfect pairing. I think that the way that they run the ball and the scheme around them, like he could be part of that run game. And so is Justin running it? Are you Bijan running it? Are you throwing it? Like that there's a lot of he can be that. He has the potential to be an X factor, to be a big deal, to be something that that offense could be amazing if done right. If you got Justin Fields, like
right, I think
the right word,
but I think the Bears just need more weapons for him. Like you don't really besides like DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, you're not really having much weapons. Deonta Foreman's great for a running back, but I think you need more. Losing David Montgomery definitely hurt.
Yeah, but I feel like Justin Fields could be exponentially better. Better on with the Falcons, or at least a different team. The Falcons are the one that comes to my mind. So
I mean, I don't think he's not the answer, but it depends on what the Bears want to do. Like, do the Bears really want to miss out, like, with seeing CJ Stroud? Do they feel like they missed on, like, what they could have had? Is the question.
We'll see what happens. All right. Anything else on this game, or should we go on?
I think we've mentioned the Browns stuff. Like, their defense still continues to be good, and their offense, and they're still magically winning with whoever they have at quarterback, so good for that.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it covers it for me.
All right, so I guess we can we'll move on to the next game. All right, next up we've got Jets versus those land sharks. I mean Dolphins.
No, we were the Miami Garchomps.
Yes.
Yeah, we definitely made up for last week where we made mistakes. We really like stepped up our game. We definitely learned, and Bradley Chubb definitely made up for.
I was gonna say he made some of the biggest mistakes. Did he make up for the biggest ways?
He had like 3 sacks, like 7 tackles. He was the AFC Defensive Player of the Week.
That's good.
So he made up for it. The defense definitely made up for it, and the offense just was firing on all cylinders. 201 without Tyreek. Jalen Waddle made up for Tyreek not being there. Or, if we can just use Jalen and Tyreek,
right?
Yeah, we can just use Jalen Waddle like as well as we use Tyreek, and get Achane in there with Raheem Mostert. We'll do fantastic. Raheem broke 2 franchise records this game of most. I think it was most touchdowns and most rushing touchdowns
in a season, not in a game.
Yes, in a season. He broke Ricky Williams' record and broke Mark. Okay, I forgot which Mark it was between Duper and Clayton. What you have when you had the Marks brothers. It was a wide receiving duo.
I'll just say that while you're looking it up, my big thing is when I think about like where you failed with the tight ends game and what they made up for is that there needs to just be a way to game plan from going. If we don't have if Tyreek gets hurt, then Jalen just needs to be switched to like we play the plays where Jalen is now the Tyreek, and we just work off that. Like there's a true dual threat when you have Jalen and Tyreek. If not, Jalen is a capable threat to himself, and you just that's how they have to. And that's what they didn't do against that.
Yeah, I think we have a better game plan going forward. I think that loss was very helpful.
Right now, which Mark was it?
Oh yeah, it was Mark Clayton.
That was the one I was gonna get on.
Yes, yeah. So good on Raheem. He is not talk. I want to say he's like under underrated because he has like he's not talked about as much. I mean, because I know a lot of the other players overshadow him, but he doesn't have. I mean, he doesn't have the yards, but he's tied with touchdowns with Christian McCaffrey, and he has the most rushing touchdowns I think in the league this season with 18. So it's like, you know, a lot of Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns are receiving touchdowns. I mean, he has a lot more receiving touchdowns than Raheem, who has rushing, but they both have 20. So it's like, I know they talk about Tua and Tyreek being MVPs, but when you have a third player doing something special with breaking 2 franchise records, it shows how good of a team we actually are, or how great of a team we actually are.
Right.
And to do it against one of the best defenses, because the Jets defense has kept them in a lot of games.
Well, they are top 5, potentially top 3 defense this season. So, yeah, to get 30, to score 30 on them and to shut them out, even if Zach Wilson got a concussion, there's still something about that, because, you know, in them in games where they were like with the Falcons, it was like 13-8. So even against the Falcons don't have a bad defense. So it's definitely something to, you know, hang your hat on and stuff, right? Is that the expression?
I believe so.
Nothing. That's really all I want to say about the Jets. I don't really remember.
Zach Wilson getting hurt just kind of threw off their momentum, and that kind of sucks for them.
Such a great game against the Texans.
Yeah, I mean, he was the AFC player of the week, the AFC offensive player of the week going into this, and
he's not. I don't think he's playing this week.
No, he isn't, and that kind of it kind of sucks. It's like I kind of, you know, you kind of just want to beat your rivals head on.
All right. So, anything else with the Dolphins?
I hope they can win a good team
the next 3 weeks.
Next 3 weeks, yes, all 3 of them, hopefully.
Number 1 seed right there. Like they've got a goal right there. Like that Titans game was a big fuck up, but that could literally be that momentum changer. That one where it's like Android can get his head on, like
right,
your Super Saiyan 2 moment.
Right, I hope it is.
I feel like we should call this, you know, geeky sports podcast and just go from that. But and keep up the references. But yes, this can't be your Super Saiyan 2 Gohan moment. So
let's hope and we win the Cell games.
Right? I'm gonna say yeah, we'll go from there. So Buccaneers Packers, talk about that one.
Yes.
Buccaneers won 34-20. It was close in the beginning. But man, the Buccaneers, their defense looked good, their run game looked good, the Packers run defense looked bad. Wasn't there an article in the Onion about that?
Right.
Pretty bad if you have an article in the Onion about the Joe Barry defense.
Yeah, they lined up. I think it was something like they lined up light years offsides or something off the ball or something.
Oh Lord. But Baker's playing well. I see them resigning him. He'll get a starting job somewhere else. If not, I know there's cap-based issues there. But he's having as good of a season as I forget who they keep. I know they keep saying that he's having as good of a season as a few other of those big name quarterbacks. If he has as many touchdowns as Lamar Jackson.
I think so. He might have more than Lamar Jackson, but I only say that because I know Lamar wasn't as high when I last checked the stats. 24 touchdowns this season.
No, okay. So as far as I forget how much does Baker have? Or if he doesn't have as more, he has at least pretty close. I was thinking Lamar had about 22. Maybe I put him.
Yeah, Lamar has 22, but that's passing and rushing.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, Baker has 22.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I mean, yeah. Sometimes it's on the defense, but it's not a huge deal. But like, you know, I knew he was close to Lamar numbers. So.
Yeah, I don't get the numbers where the numbers like look so good that legitimately Baker should be in the MVP conversation too, because if his numbers are about equal to some others. It's just wins that are the key stat.
Because the MVP is a notoriously bad award when you think about it. It's like I remember John Elway winning it, but that's because people who voted for there were people who voted Jerry Rice or Joe Montana, so they were canceling out a lot of their number 1 votes. So John Elway got it, and it's the same thing here. It's like you can have as good of a season, but just like Joe and Jerry, you have it really should be more of a team award. Team award is the Super Bowl, but but the fact that Baker has like 4 less wins versus you know somebody like Lamar or Brock Purdy. And that's why Brock Purdy's up there, because he's had a good season and they're winning.
I mean, I think Baker, if they get the 4 seed or higher, depending on how crazy things can go, but if they get the 4 seed and end up playing someone like, I think they could, depending on depending on who they play, because Dallas doesn't travel. Dallas doesn't travel great so far. And the Eagles haven't been playing great, but if they stay on either of those paths, I think Baker and these Bucks could beat that.
Well, well, without getting too into it, because
Yeah, I know that's
but first of all, if the Lions win this week, I think that pretty much